What's good, man? It's your boy Mello, back on You Deadass Podcast, another episode. Today we got my boy D Chamberz here. I appreciate you being here.
Official.
I appreciate all the hospitality.
I mean, it's always a blessing, man. You know what I mean? Everything's one day at a time. The worst risk is not taking one. You outside, man. We behind the scenes. We dripping in fashion, man.
Right, facts. So the basis of my podcast basically is called You Deadass Podcast. We from New York, so I want to kind of display true New York culture in mainstream, kind of, because I feel like we not really depicted the correct way. Like, if you live here, it's totally different from what you see on TV. So I wanted to get, like, true New York culture and true guests that display that true culture, like, You feel me? So let them know where you from.
I'm from the last stop in New York. I'm from Coward Killer, Coney Island. You know what I mean? I'm 6'2", no time for the small talk, living with that warrior mentality. You know, I'm Morris Chestnut of this rap shit. You know what I mean? G5 flying. Just doing things that need to be done. I'm next mogul.
Right.
They call me the Black Hove. Whip the butt off the stove. You know what I'm saying? It's for real. Like,
nah, I respect it. All right, so what high school you went to?
I went to John Dewey.
Okay, how's that experience?
Same school Spike Lee went to. At first, I wasn't really happy. I went to John Dewey because I was like, it had no sports there. You know, everybody was at Lincoln, Grady, Lafayette.
Well, let them know what Lincoln is, because a lot of people
Lincoln is
don't
where
understand
Stephon Marbury went to.
Jesus
Lance,
Shuttlesworth,
Stevenson, Sebastian Telfair.
Right.
A lot of NBA stars came from Coney Island, but like I was telling everybody, a lot of people don't know artists from Coney Island. But now they catching on. These last few years, they catching on. But high schools, it was based on just, you know, your swag and sports.
Right.
You know what I mean? So where I went in John Dewey, it was more about theater, dance, arts, instruments, behind the scenes, science, architect. And you know, sometimes you don't know your blessing at a young age. And then when you realize Spike Lee went to the school, like certain real stars that are worth something in this world went to that school.
Right. So do you think that going to an art school helped you in your music and arts career?
Later on in life, because sometimes you ignore it, because sometimes when you're young, you know, I played ball. I wanted, you know what I mean? I wanted to be on those teams and things. But, you know, I learned music. I learned behind the scenes of theater. And then it didn't click on to me. So when people today be like, Chamberz, how do you know all this stuff? How do you know how to make things, how to lighten, how do you know how to fill up a concert? How do you know how to throw shows? And, you know, everything just works. Even like behind the scenes, like what we were just doing today. It's like, how do you know how to find these places and what the lighting looks like? Those blessings came from, you know, I went to school. Even though I may not liked it, but it made sense to me in the long run.
All right, that's what's up. So how is it growing up in Coney Island? Like, explain the experience of growing up here.
It was very competitive. It was always, now that I'm, you know what I'm saying, I'm old enough to admit it, like, everybody, when you see somebody make it to the NBA, that becomes something to do. Everybody want to make it to the NBA.
Right.
So, of course, through the times, it was like baseball, football. I could say Frankie Sinclair, he was doing football. But today, he owned one of the hottest rim shops and, you know, car repair spots in New York City. And you never know what your destiny is going to be. So, for like in Coney Island, it was sports. And now with the new millennium and with the new young homies, everything is music. Right. So growing up, it's always like you had to be a hustler. You either was getting it or somebody was taking it from you. So you always had to have that aggressiveness to yourself to want to stand out and protect what it is that you represent or where you from out there. That's just how I viewed it.
And that's funny because that goes into my next question of like, I'm from the Bronx.
Okay.
So I hear a lot of like the old Brooklyn versus the new Brooklyn. Like, what exactly is that dynamic right there? Like, and what do you think of it?
Well, what I think was missing from the old Brooklyn and new Brooklyn is I just think there's not a lot of older positive mentors. When I say older positive mentors, like when I think of hustlers, when I was growing up, dudes had cars, cribs, a girl. This was the swag. Getting money, flossing, that was the swag. Now it's just like you don't have too many people guiding people in that direction. You got a lot of people, once they get it, they don't want to show, you know, other people the way how to get it. They may be inspired by it, but they're not showing you. Back then, it was some mentors who'd be like, yo, young homie, this is how you do this. You need to get a job. You need to hustle. You need to find something that's going to make you some money. Find a lady that you could trust and leave it at that. But then, like today, we just glorifying what's in front of us, and a lot of people are chasing that. So a lot of older homies are guided by the younger dudes, by money. The difference was there was some type of rules, like you just couldn't pump outside.
Right.
You had to go holler at somebody before you thought about it. Now, dudes just go outside. It is what it is. It's more independency. So nobody's really listening to guidance. So that's what I would say is the difference between old Brooklyn, new Brooklyn, and this whole economy was going on right now. You know what I mean? Because the young homies respect money.
Right.
This whole world is like almost idol worshiping. So it's like if you don't got shit, they don't listen to you.
Right.
But if you sometimes the greatest message come from the people who don't have, because they're living through it.
Right. Respect. So about old Brooklyn versus new Brooklyn too. I know Brooklyn was like one of the first places to like really be gentrified, and white people start moving into Brooklyn. I heard they started moving into Brooklyn before it was even they started moving into Harlem.
I mean,
for real.
you gotta remember me being from Coney Island. It was already migrated. We was dealing with Russians, Hispanics, blacks, whites, Ethiopians, dollar cabs, Russian stores, Chinese restaurants. So we already was hit with this, and plus being from Coney Island, we have the biggest amusement park that I think is owned by Donald Trump to this day. And we have so much construction and everything that's built along the boardwalk and the beach. We deal with all walks of life. Maybe the other parts of Brooklyn is getting new to this, and like people that's like near ocean fronts, people where there's value at.
Right.
Better get it together,
Right.
because they're coming, and it just make you wanna up more your living and how you decide to go through life. So it's with time everything gotta get better. So whether they blame it on old Brooklyn or new Brooklyn, we just evolving.
So if somebody was to get introduced to G Chamberz and listen to you for the first time, what would you suggest the first song they listen to from you be?
It depends what mode they in or what mood they in. Because at the end of the day, all my music promotes that warrior mentality and the act of going to go get it. And understand that the worst risk is not taking one. There's no excuses in the music. So I could tell you, go get it. Or I could tell you, Flights in the Morning with me and Benny the Butcher. Or I could tell you, Rap with a Legend with Method Man. Or however how you feeling, like Get 'em Got 'em with China Mac. Or Drippin' in Fashion with K Goddess. Or, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just however you feeling, because I work with a lot of dope producers, and a lot of people when they do music for what's in the moment and the vibe. Mine's is always like it's a message in the bottle, being warrior mentality, being a mogul, bossing up. So it's just whatever mood you in the morning.
And I feel like from meeting you and seeing your music, there's some type of authenticity with how you are and your music and how it translates.
Like I always say, I think I always got better with time. I never was, some people may have like the aggressive freestyles, but me understanding the clubs and the radio made my sound change. But it's still the same message. So when people listening to it, when I give them that dirt, like, so people want to hear that jail talk. They want to hear how they emerge from corners and this. But then there's people where I could tell you growth on how I could vibe and descend with the new sound. And a lot of times people don't want to go with what's new or try something different. They do the same routine until, somebody leads the way. So I'm always promoting music that promotes growth. So like I said, it's really about the sound and what type of time you want, because you got people who glorify doing nothing all day, just smoking out. That's what they do. Video games, lean, working out, boxing, whatever you want to do. Some people have different music, and I'm preparing to the hustlers, to the moguls, dudes who want to be millionaires, billionaires. People who's talking that talk with a lot of ambitions toward greatness in life. That's who I appeal to.
Right. So when did you start rapping? Like, what's your journey? What's the start of your journey?
I always was around music. Like I said, from my older cousin, we used to watch video music while we was younger and leave it on, and we would just see it and like, yo, what's going on? But like when you see like guys that's like compatible to people you see in front of your building, or hustlers you watch growing up, and you can just almost see like nothing changed but the times. and I just always felt like I had a message to say. So later on, like with the instrumentals was being put out there, I just thought it was dope to just freestyle over instrumentals. We used to do it in the staircase, and then I just think, you know, I was still a hustler. Like music found me late in life. But when, you know, while I was up north or whatever, I was like, yo, music is dope, and I want to try this. You know, got home, cut Master C, Smack, URL. People, I was around the battle coaches, so it was aggressive freestyles, but it wasn't much song structure. So to learn these clubs and how to get music to radio is different, because somebody could out rap 20 dudes out here, but ain't worth getting on stage at all. Get on stage, he's terrible. You know what I mean? And learning song structure and how to move the crowd, I think that's when I say I understood music business and want to make me do it more. Because it's a difference. It's a huge difference. If you could do it and live off what you're doing, that's what I'm with. And that's how I push my music.
And what was your stake in battle rap? You said you was around that. And so
From
what
the
was
URL with Smack, shout out to everything. You know what I mean? Because, all right, first off, shout out to Liaison. We both was from Coney Island. He's from East New York, Coney Island. And before I went in, he was doing freestyles on Smack. And when he got on Smack, he did it with Zach Judah. But when he came on, we was at Coney Island, and we did the song More Shots. And then we got him a Math Hoffa. I met him when I went to a Sycamore event. And at that time, he just snuffed dose. and he was battling, about to battle T-Rex.
Yeah.
So when he went to go battle T-Rex, we was part of that. Like when he was going at Dot Mob and all this other stuff. So he had a song, NYB to the Death. We was supporting it, Matt Hoffa, and Coney Island, me, Hands, Cortez, Hollow the Dawn, everybody else. We was just pushing that. But like I said, when I was around the battle culture, we getting all these views, we getting the street love. But I'm like, my song is not on the radio. I should not bump it in the strip club. Fred the Godson on the radio. I'm watching my peers just elevate. South by Southwest going on. We not there. A3C. I'm like, hold up, what the fuck going on?
Right.
So I had to descend. And sometimes I think in that world, people love the culture. But when they start understanding the business, some people do the business and some people stay true to the culture. Some people could do both.
Right.
I always try to find a medium, like you can never leave out the culture.
Right.
But at the same time, understand the business that could make you, get you where you need to be.
So at what point did you see like your career start elevating? You saying you seeing your peers elevate. So at what point did you see your own personal career elevate?
2017, after the record with Manola Rose, then I had a song called I'm French Though. And that record, like, it was going crazy in Trap House, the strip clubs, because how I started to big up towards radio was through strip clubs. I would just, they would book me. I had the record with Manola Rose, like all of my niggas. And then when I came out with I'm French Though, that was produced by Nice and Wavy. It was just so dope because I was pulling all my people from Brooklyn and the Bronx together. Shout out to everybody on East Tremont and Clinton. All my peoples that was like on East Tremont and Clinton was all the Coke boys. So it was like Juice, Cheese, Brock. My man Nitty was like, he pulled me in, and we was going on tour with these dudes bouncing around. Like wherever French wasn't at, you had like the Coke boys. You know what I mean? Then you had GPK, so I was with them. So when French was gone, then I was doing the music, and then like Change Drugs, we was in Sue's Rendezvous, K Slay. I was like, I'm feeling like I'm French though, 'cause, like running around. And once we started doing that, that record was so dope. It's like I paid homage at the same time to a hustler that's living off of, you know, the streets and his music, and they jacked it. And it got on radio, self-broken on 105, and people caught amnesia.
Right.
Bigger chains, cars outside, people's paying the fee, like, and I just kept the momentum going. And you know, and I think Free Chuck Taylor, once they saw us like around Cardi B, that's what was like, yo, what is Chamberz doing? Like, what's going on? But at the same time, I was cool with all the promoters that was doing the bookings in the clubs. I stayed on the flyers, stayed in the clubs, and I'm just living out the clubs.
All right. So when did you start making music and getting these big features? Like, when did that start, and how did it start?
All right.
Because you got some features with some people that it's not easy to get features with. Some legends.
I think it was a lot of time I was already putting the work in, and I always knew my target audience. Like, I don't chase the hype.
Right.
If I know people I'm doing music and we're in that same elevator, then we going up.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like in this circumstance, like Fred the Garza, I understood he was climbing the ladder. R.I.P. Fred.
Right.
I think I understood his value to the point I was like, yo, I got money for you. I want to pay for the verse. So when people was like, how do old people, Chamberz get the look with Fred? Because I was willing to pay for it. I understood his value while he was alive. And, you know, there's a lot of times I always try to pull different people in. You know what I mean? Well, no matter what borough you was from, it wasn't just about being from Coney Island. Then it was like, okay, I'm from Brooklyn. I need to do something with Uncle Murder. Shout out to Cooch. Me and Cooch used to, you know, we was from the streets. We was all doing our thing. And I always heard about Uncle Murder through the Cutmaster C tapes, and they was working with Proof, Living Proof, Tune Heads. So I was like, yo, I think this would be dope, and people will respect me coming from Coney Island doing something with Uncle Murder called Shake the Block. I was already running around with Bobby Trends at that time because Jay Obama plugged me in with them. And then once we did that, people was like, oh shit, Chamberz got something with Uncle Murder. I had Uncle Murder in Coney Island in front of my building. Like that was like unheard of. People like, yo, Chamberz brought somebody to Coney Island that raps. He's in front of the building. It was like, it was just dope. And people would just think, like I say to this day, you don't know too many artists that made it from Coney Island doing music. You probably name a few now on the come up, but we never had it. So when anything we do is major to us. So then I had the record with Chinks Drugs before he passed. We did it at Bad Boy Studio, and I was preparing my whole project based on Fred, him. And it's funny, or now it's not funny. It's just funny how life
works.
How
the
things,
irony.
how it played out. God rest the dead. He's gone. Like, that's crazy to me. Chinks and Fred. Two dudes that was on one project, I was like, yo, the boring mentality. And we both understood the struggle, try to push forward. So it kind of slumped me for a little bit because I had to regroup. I can't pump music and it's like I'm cloud chasing. And like people were in the ground. So I had to do more records that stood on my own. When I came back with Pistol on my side, they understood that. Shout out to Star Mozzie, shot that video. Then I did Prime Time. You know what I mean? They respected that. When I did G5 Flying, these are all records I just did by myself. Had the whole hood out. They respected that. And then it was just like, oh, okay, Chamberz don't need features. But during the pandemic, I was already throwing concerts, Trappers Only concerts. I was throwing Sound of New York concerts with my manager, then partnering with different people to get to Drewski, Will, and just building up my own fan base without having to go to anybody or chase anybody, because I feel like they was always doing things to leave me out. So that's just how I took it. So I created my own platform.
As you should. I think sometimes people need to see that people are serious too, like before they start jumping out the window.
Yo, I had to have a long talk with this. I asked everybody, you know what I mean? Everybody has a different opinion. But, you know, you play chess?
A little bit. I used to back in the day, but I understand the game.
What's the most important piece on the table?
The king.
You think so? I'm just asking.
I would believe so.
You want to hear my answer?
What's that?
The board, because without the board, ain't nobody playing nothing. That's what I learned to start thinking. You know what I'm saying? Because it ain't no king, ain't no queen. You move the board, woof.
That's
y'all
the
just
foundation.
pieces all over the place. Y'all don't know what's going on. So I had to learn how to create my own board. So when I learned how to create my own board, I learned the music I was making, the people I'm around. And maybe I'm not cool with the guys but the bosses love me. They understand what I'm doing. And you know, and sometimes when you get in position, the people vote for you if you do the right thing. I never shitted on nobody. Like, I remember when Comatose Rose was like 2015 and 16. Around this time, I was learning how to co-manage studios. I was tired of paying for studio times. So what I would do is just barter service for studios just so I could get mad studio time for free. Eventually, I got my own keys, whatever. And today's I own my own studio, whatever. But that's how I met Fabio Foreign. So I met Bino, Gino, a lot of these artists that are relevant today, like through producers, there's so much. And I was just like, okay, I became like the plug, a mentor. And sometimes when you understand the business so much, people forget the craft. But at the end of the day, we trying to live off doing music. So it's a catch-22. So that's why I respect like the Jay-Z's, the Rosses, the Diddy's, the Birdmans, you know, anybody who bossed up and just took it to the next level, I can relate. Because a lot of times they don't want to give people those credit, but you have to.
And so you got a song with Method Man. How does that happen? How does that work? And what
That was crazy
experience?
because I met Method Man. I always knew of him, but I met him at Math Hoffa's video shoot, Double Barrel, and that's when we was chopping up. And he was just like, "Yo, Coney Island, Staten Island, what up?"
Right.
But I never really pressed for the song. All my peers, Cortez, China Mac, and then when I went to the China Mac, he was saying, "Yo, Chambers, why we ain't got one?"
Right.
That
So it's
same
naturally
night,
organic.
I went to the studio and sent it to him. He sent me a voice message back like, "Yo, I'm already here. This is all." That same month, he's on Power. And he's like, "Yo, let's get it." He came to Coney Island. We shot the video with Star Mozzie. It was no catch. It was like no talking to PRs, no A&Rs. All he asked from everybody in the barbershop in the hood was to put masks on. He's like, "Yo, put a mask on. I'm on Power. I'm not blowing this shit."
Right.
And he respected it.
And Benny the Butcher? How does that happen? How does that? Cause
Shout
he's
out
one
to
of the,
Yo, Flights in the Morning.
Right.
I met him through Carlos. They had the what's this? It's a Classic Material. Classic Material is the hip hop clothes store. That was on like in Brooklyn. And he always used to be like, "Chamberz, you got the regular Manolo Rose, but that's not what you do.
Right.
Benny, Conway, West Side Gun, that's where you belong.
That's the lane, right.
Go over there. You a rapper. That's what you do." And this was like 15, 16. So he would put me on the phone with them, and they were like, "Yeah, we from Buffalo." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I just had the song Just Brooklyn, so it was like good New York. That was around the time like Young Man. That sound is, niggas is rapping. He came down, he did SOBs, and Carlos was like, "Yo, pull up on him." Met him, just for everything.
Right.
We chopped it up. Like out of everybody, me and Benny was like this.
Right.
Dapped it up, SOBs. And every time he came to town, I'm like, "Yo, where you at?" I pulled up on him. Times where he at, yo, these promoters was wicked.
Right.
Yo, they booked him to come out there. He like, "Yo, I'm in an Airbnb." I'm like, "Where you at?" "Best Style." I'm like, "What the fuck you doing over there? You in the middle?" I'm like, "Yo, you about to do this big show."
They had him in
Shot the Airbnb fire. I pulled up. I was like, "What the, yo, boy, you don't even know where you at."
Right.
You know what I mean? He was just that authentic to do his music. And I supported that. So the same day when he did his show, I was like, "Yo, all right, let's just make magic happen. Let's, whatever we got to do business-wise, let's just do it." Because I know this is the type of talk we talk, and we knew all the same people. That same week, I bumped into him at Shade 45. I'm doing Shade 45, him, everybody, the whole BSF. You know, Pretty Ricky High, all of them. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like organic and meant to happen. So when I went, when he did the show, right after he did the concert, he was like, "Yo, let's go to Umbrella Studio, Capitol Center Beat." We laid the shit down. Then after a while, this pandemic happened, and then I wound up spacing out the videos where it made sense. Boom bap to drill rap, because I'm letting people know I can evolve with time.
And the video, where's the shot? Where's the video shot?
Coney Island.
Right in everything in the hood.
Coney Island.
Yeah, that's legendary though.
Because like sometimes I feel like it's not a good in the hood thing. It's just like sometimes you gotta bring the people to where you from, like the texture, where they can see things. But let it be different. But at the same time, you gotta be able to be creative to mix it up. So sometimes people just get caught up in, "Yo, I'm in the hood," like that, and then you know it's the same shit over and over. Sometimes you want to see something different.
And today we shooting a video with K Goddess.
Shout out to K Goddess, man. I knew K Goddess for a long time, man. And I salute it because I watched her grind. I watched her do the live shows when I was first starting my concerts. I was reaching out to her like, "Yo, you need to be here." This is when I had Hip Hop Mike. This is when I had Will. You know, then Drewski along the way. She always showed support. We always had a long conversation, and it always worked.
So what do you think of like rap today? I know you talk about being able to evolve and, you know, what do you think about like rap today?
Rap today is basically like don't understand business, you're gonna be left the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
So like you better make sure you understand your value. So a lot of times if you're rapping, no matter what you're rapping, understand your crowd.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna be the best mumble rapper or
Right.
drill rapper, be the best, shine the hardest.
Right.
If you're gonna be the rapper and you want to talk about hip hop and what we reminisce,
Right.
then do your history and be the best lyricist. But figure out how you can make money along the way. Because whether you stay indie or major corporations, at the end of the day, it all is the same thing. That dollar is green, and bills gotta get paid.
Have any like labels came to you?
Believe it or not, I remember at one time I bounced in and out of like E1 like 2 times. I mean, at the time, at the bill of value. Maybe I don't never want to diss nobody or say, oh, they wasn't offering enough, I can't sign.
Right.
Sometimes business is business. If you're not where you need to be at the time, then you got to step the value up. So like E1, EQ Distro, same shit. Like they was like distribution companies. So I just learned to just do a lot of stuff independent through video, and I get checks.
I think that a lot of people don't understand that rap has like now it's evolved into having a lot of subgenres. You can't really box rap into one thing anymore.
Because what's the beauty of rap, right? And it goes back to saying why I love why I went to the school I went to. It's all theatrics. You're all acting. And because you just don't know what's your role in this movie. So it's just like you could be the humble guy or you could be Macho Man Randy Savage. Which one you want to be? And we know what comes with it. But in this world, you got to be entertaining. But reality is you must have something.
Right.
A lot of times people do all this rapping and don't have no way home. Their life is in shambles. They not even taking care of their kids. They just chasing the hype. Let's keep it 100. So when you meet people that's like, oh, okay, diamonds is real, chain real, car outside, he's living off it. You want to deal with people that do business and understand where you headed. So that's where music is headed. If that kid is fired, he will be doing good business because people around him eventually teach him the business. If you bullshitting and you half-assing, you get nothing. And
I don't subscribe to really rap being a young man's game neither. I feel like the longevity and the GOATs, the people that have longevity, they not young. Like maybe granted they started young, but to have longevity you have to evolve and bring something to the table.
Whether you evolve or not, right? You're only going to be remembered for what you did, what you're doing. What are you doing now?
Right.
What's going on? So sometimes our legends let us down too. Like I don't think a lot of people mention that. When you see them like, damn, like, it's fucked up.
Right.
Am I gonna rap and be like this?
Right.
Or you be like, oh shit, he put on, that's where I want to be. This is why I do this. And there's levels of that. You know what I mean? So I think, some people get smacked with reality by chasing the dream. And it's how bad you want it. Those are the people that stand out.
Who do you listen to now? Like, who do you enjoy? Are you listening to more current rap, or you listen to like? Cause I dabble in between. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't that young, but I ain't really into.
I'll be honest with you. Like I listen to my peers. I study the market. That's what I do. So I might even listen to some R&B. Like sometimes I be tired of rap. Like,
yo, that's real.
I listen to like R&B is a whole other genre that's missing. So like, I probably listen to some R&B. Or like when I'm listening to rap, I'm listening to what's moving the crowd, so I understand where hip hop is going. But a lot of times I'm listening to my young homies. That's on the come up. So I'm like, whoa, like that energy. What's coming next? The new innovators, the new rappers.
Who you enjoy? Like,
I mean, I listen to all music, bro. Like, so for me to even name one, it'd be like my brain would be rattled. Like I'll be forced to name more. Right? And so like I will tell you. All the sounds that are like people that are relevant in this market, I study it. But do I try to stay in my lane? Yes, because some things, everything ain't for everybody.
Right.
So I focus on D Chamberz, how I push my music, and how I can make another dollar from it, and what the hell can I do to put my homies on in the same breath.
All right, little barbershop talk. What's your top 5 artists, like, for you? Not saying like who's the best, but your top 5 artists.
Now I always say this, like DMX, right? Tupac, Jay-Z, of course. I always say Killer Cam. I always said that. What is that, 4?
Mm-hmm.
It's mixy, like, you know what I mean? It depends where I'm at mentally.
Right.
You know, sometimes I always put Biggie there.
Mm-hmm.
And I always put Big Pun there. Then it just depends what vibe I'm in at the time.
And what's a couple artists that you eyeing to work with? Like who you see like, I want to work with? Cause you got.
To be honest with you, everybody, I cleared it. You know what I'm saying? Like, Method Man, who don't want to do it right now?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
As far as my peers right now, Benny the Butcher, we already got the booth. So it's like, everybody else, it'll probably be like a Moneybag Yo, or 2 Chainz. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I think of artists, I think like, yo, how my vibe would be around them, like Killer Cam, shit like that. Like,
Right.
You know what I mean?
I can see the Cam.
Ross, you know, Jay,
Mm-hmm.
you know, being on one of those Be the Best compilations, I know my music is heading there. Some people, even Future, like my music, I could go boom bap to drill rap, so my mind is there. But you can see that Killer Cam shit?
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I think that would be fire. Like,
so I'm inspired by like Confessions of Fire.
Yeah, I can see that. So what's next? Like, you working on a project?
Boom bap to drill rap. First and foremost, people gotta realize my music. When people are like, yo, how do you mean he make music? All right, if you don't know, I have my own office, Warrior Mentality Music Group. I do a lot of consulting on the side. I deal with the best PRs, A&Rs, fashion designers, everything you can think of behind the scenes. Then I have no time for the small talk. I have my own little radio show. Me, Ice Chills, DJ 5 Stacks, Crystal, Soundbite Management, 3 Year Scope. We have film shit. Then I have Trappers Only, where I throw concerts, shit like that. So
I definitely gotta pull up to one, film one.
My shit's be crazy.
Yeah,
It'd be
I got
crazy.
you.
If I was to show you behind the scenes, the game tape, I could show you some of these favorite artists. Like,
I gotta pull up.
like, yo, this is crazy, Chamberz. And they don't deny it. The thing is, I don't ask, I don't cloud chase.
It's organic.
It's organic.
That's what's up.
It's organic because my blessings is, you know, I live comfortable. I live good. I'm okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I shout out to Mike Geronimo. My OG was just like, yo, your success is based on how you living a life. Sometimes that condo you got is a success.
Right.
That car you whipping now with the rims, that's a success. Some people don't got shit.
Right.
Living in general freedom. The fact we could go outside, and that's a success.
Right.
So I learned to just appreciate how my music is guiding me through life. So I know I'm talking for hustlers, go-getters, and people who understand what I'm talking about. It may sound like I'm rambling, but it makes sense. You know what I mean?
For sure. So are you gonna make a project? Or are you gonna put these
Boom
songs
bap to
into?
drill rap. That's just showing people I could evolve with the time. I got the Method Man, the Benny the Butcher. Me and Favi might have to do a newer record because the record I did have with him had Drizzy on it. So like once that happened, it kind of slowed down the project.
What you mean by that?
I don't know exactly.
It had Drizzy on it?
It was me, him. It's called Throw That. It's me, him, and Drizzy. You know what I mean? Drizzy, not Drizzy Drake, but like Drizzy Juliano. And he on the foreign side. So like I always see both parties. I don't get into the hood politics.
Right.
But I support both of them. I'm from Coney Island.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And the music that I have now, like I have Trending Topics with Killer. Then I put out No Love with a compilation with all the young homies from Coney Island. So I'm guiding them and showing them along the way what it takes to get done. So like everybody that's like 27 and under, like those guys is with me moving around. We doing shows, you know, just doing things on the highest scales, and I'm trying to open that platform to show them this shit could be done.
That's fine. I respect that. As it should be. Like that's what we need.
Nobody
more
had
of.
forefathers in Coney Island. I feel like I am the forefather.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you got other artists that do their thing. Shout out to them, shout out to Torre. But nobody really showed us nothing in Coney Island, like music-wise. You may say like, oh, Buckshot, they was from, but they went to Franklin Ave. You know, MOP is from Brownsville. Take that away, what music do we have?
All right, bet. That's dope. Well, I appreciate you stopping by, giving an interview.
I
ain't
appreciate
even know.
you stuck around, you real official.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Real conversation, because sometimes like people don't understand like one thing, people like, oh, music, just that. I understand the business. And then once you understand the business, you're going to stick around longer than you think. Merchandise and being part of the film. I'm in 2 web series. Shout out to the Brooklyn Way, shout out to The Cycle. And I'm working on my own one, Past the Rods. And I'm working on a battle rap movie with Smack. So you already know, like, my mind is somewhere else.
That's dope. As it should be.
100%. That's why K Goddess was like, Chamberz, do that interview. You know what I mean?
I appreciate it.
It's your official. We say
organic.
family, that's what we hit. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that. All right, we're going to wrap it up. Thank y'all for tuning in. Until next episode, man. I appreciate you for doing the episode.
Man. Listen, man, I appreciate you sticking around.
Yeah,
Real support the real 24/7, man. And I always say, son, like, I just tell the young artists, don't just get in this music, right? And not knowing how you're gonna get money from it. Just think about that. We live in New York City, where there's merchandise, there's material, there's cameras on every block. Pick a profession and get rich, man.
Facts. You heard the man. Holla.